Turn this music off. What's up, guys? Gonna do another video. Let's see today. Oh, I'm sorry, microphone's kind of far. What's up, guys? Hopefully you can hear me. Today I want to talk about. It's not your genetics. That's just what they want you to believe. The title of the video today is "You're Not Small Because of Genetics." It's this. Basically, what I want to talk about is that. Sorry, my brain ain't really working. It's still kind of early in the morning. I'm gonna try to do another whiteboard video. I got the pen out. Hopefully this is working. Oh yeah, it's cool. It looks like it's working. How do you undo that? Let's see. How do I want to start this? If you were watching this, you are probably skinny. You're probably a young dude, I would say. There's a good chance you're trying to do this naturally, just like I did in the past. You're a young, natural guy, maybe even struggling to put on muscle, and maybe you want to change that and start actually putting on muscle as a young, natural guy. That's you. With your big muscles. That's what you want to be. And you want to do it naturally. Look a little fat there, but that's fine. That's besides the point. My story personally is that for a long time I was skinny, pretty much forever. For the first 15 years, maybe to 14 years of my life, I was skinny, and I got made fun of a lot. People would always ask me, "Hey, are you eating? Did you eat enough? You need to eat more." And eventually I got kind of sick of it. I got kind of tired of it. And to be honest, I was always blaming my genetics. Genetics, and I felt like I was destined to be small forever. I made that my excuse for a long time. For years, pretty much, I made that my excuse, and I started to feel kind of powerless. But over these 15 total years of lifting that I've been lifting as a natural lifter, I've actually built muscle multiple times, and I've helped a lot of people do the same thing. I've helped a lot of skinny guys go from skinny to actually putting on muscle as young, skinny, natural guys, no drugs, just complete naturals. I've also got a decade, so I've got 10 years in total. Probably longer now. I just say decade because it's easier. But I've got over a decade of personal research on this thing. I've been lifting for 15 years, and on top of that, I've been taking my own personal time to research this kind of thing. I've watched who knows how many videos, read how many articles, how many books. I've also spent thousands of dollars on courses over the years. And through each thing, I learn a little detail here, I learn a detail there from each course. And basically, over time and over all that money, you add all that stuff together, and I've gained all this information over the years. Basically, I have the power to make it super easy for you and make this thing easy peasy and basically give you a roadmap on how you could do this yourself. So, what do I want to cover today? I want to cover the bad genetics myth. Basically, I want to uncover what really stops skinny guys from actually growing. What I'm trying to say is that you can take control over this, and it's not just in the hands of your genetics. It's not like that. We'll debunk the myth, and we'll go over the actual problems, and I'll show you some actionable steps that you can take. Those are stairs. If this thing sounds interesting to you, I've got more information just like this in the link in the description below. You can check that out. All right, let's try to do this in order. Number 1, the bad genetics myth. So the core idea here is that your biggest obstacle isn't actually your DNA. It's the belief that genetics are a barrier, which in turn they're really not. The truth is that genetics do play a role in your peak potential, but overall it's rarely going to prevent any actual growth. Your body can build muscle no matter who you are. As I just said, your genetics play a factor in how big you might be able to get overall, but we're talking years and years and years and years of lifting before you hit that as a natural. anyone can grow muscle, but what I'm trying to say is you have a long time until you have to even consider worrying about that peak of what your genetics can bring you. The real problem is that your limiting belief tends to lead to inconsistent effort. This will allow you to blame plateaus. A lot of times you'll find yourself chasing magic, and sometimes you might find yourself giving up as well. A lot of people, maybe like yourself, like to call yourself a hard gainer as like a skinny guy. This often means that your metabolism and you might have a small appetite on top of that, but you don't have an inability to grow. Like, you can still grow no matter who you are, is basically what I'm trying to say. My own personal experience with this is that my skinny family belief started to undermine me. There would be times when I'd hit plateaus, and instead of blaming myself, my work ethic, and my training and nutrition, I would blame my genes instead of the actual strategy and steps that I was taking. The breakthrough came when I started to say, fuck that, and I rejected that belief. Once I started to change my beliefs on this, and I started to focus more on my nutrition, diet, training, that's when I started to actually make actual nice gains as a natural young skinny guy. All right, that covers it for number one. I think I want to move on to number two now, which is the real bottleneck, which is the lack of consistent progressive overload. I like drawing. I don't know what that is. That's a word. The lack of progressive overload. Progressive overload is probably one of the most important things in trying to put on actual size. Really, it's going to be training. It's going to be your progressive overload within that training. It's going to be your nutrition, aka your diet. And then it's your recovery. If you can focus on those three things, I promise you'll start to see gains no matter who you are, no matter what kind of genes you have. The core idea here is that you lift, you get a pump, but you're not growing, and you're not consistently challenging your muscles to do more. A lot of skinny guys like yourself, probably, you don't apply progressive overload to your workouts. Maybe you do just random workouts that you find online. You do the same weights. Maybe you chase pumps instead of actually chasing strength in the gym. The truth here is that your muscles are only going to grow when they're forced to do more. In other words, you need to lift heavier or you need to do more reps. That's basically what progressive overload is. Progressive overload. It really comes down to two things. Every time you go to the gym, if you want to apply progressive overload to your workouts and your exercise routine, you can think about it in these two things. So say you have a workout Monday and you have a workout the following Monday, and you're doing chest on this first Monday. Say you do your bench press, and you do one plate for 10 reps. Okay, that's good. That's nice, right? That's good. That's great. Progressive overload is basically when next week you're hitting your bench press again within your routine. If you're doing one plate again, this time you want to try to hit 11. If you can hit 12, even better. Basically, you want to increase what you did from the previous week. That's the first example of progressive overload. Let's say that's number one. That's not the only way to do it, however. There's another way you can do it too. All right, let's make this quick little diagram again. Okay, week 1, Monday. Say you're bench pressing 90 pounds. And you do that for 10 reps again. Next week, maybe you feel like you can't add an 11th rep to that set. What you can try to do instead is say you add a 2.5 plate to the end of each side of your barbell. Now you're at 95 pounds. If you can do that 95 pounds for 10 reps, that's still progressive overload because you still challenged your muscles to do more than you did last week. So basically, either you try to do more reps or you try to do more weight. And you try to do that as much as you can, as often as you can, whenever you go to the gym. That's progressive overload. You need to kind of track these kind of things. Otherwise, you're just going to be in the gym blindly guessing. And a lot of times you won't remember what you even hit last workout unless you track this kind of thing. I've got a bunch of trackers for this kind of stuff. If you need it, just hit me up. My own personal experience with this is that I would just work out aimlessly. I finally achieved a breakthrough when I started logging all my lifts. I would track the weights and I would track the reps, and I finally was able to be like, oh, here's what I did last week. This is a new week. Let me try to break what I did last week. And the progress doesn't have to be super crazy, a lot. As long as you're making tiny progress every time you go to the gym, then you're doing great. That's what's going to bring growth and bring you natural gains as like a young, natural, skinny guy. Okay, number 3, we can move on. Number 3 is a failure to consistently grow and recover. Bop, 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 bop. This one is also really important. I mentioned it earlier. The core idea here is that although you might be training hard, your growth is limited by what you do outside of the gym also. In other words, I like to say that this whole gains thing as a natural guy is 50-50. If you're not on drugs, you have to focus on your recovery just as much as you focus on your actual training itself. The problem is that a lot of these skinny guys like yourself, you fail to consistently provide enough fuel and the right optimal recovery for your body. This can typically mean that you're not eating enough, you're under eating, you're probably not hitting your protein goals. Maybe you get poor sleep. If you're getting anything under 7, I'd say that's poor sleep and you need to bump your numbers up at least. Aim for 7, 8, 9 every night. Maybe you're too stressed. Being stressed is going to take a huge toll on your gains as well. So I just tell people to manage your stress as best as you can. I know it's hard for some people, especially if you're young. Maybe you're in school, you got a lot going on. Or if you're out of school, you just got a new job. Maybe you're going through college. It's hard to manage your stress when you got a lot of that stuff going on as well too. The truth here is that if you do want to build muscle, you're going to need consistent caloric surpluses every day. You're going to need enough protein for the day. You're going to need enough sleep for your growth hormone. That way you can give your body what it needs to repair overnight. And chronic stress, you need to manage that too. Like I just said, if you don't take care of that, that's going to break down your muscle as well. So what is my own experience with this? My own experience with this is that I neglected food. That's me sleeping. And I neglected sleep for a long time. Why am I sleeping backwards? I do sleep like that sometimes. Not since I was a kid. But I neglected food, I neglected sleep, and I only focused on the gym. And that's cool and all. Like, it's cool to work out, but a lot of people forget how important your sleep recovery and managing your stress is. I finally hit a breakthrough when I started dialing in on my nutrition. So I was making sure I was fueling my body properly. I was getting enough calories every day. I was hitting my caloric surplus goals every day. On top of that, I was hitting my protein goals for the day. And I was also prioritizing my 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep. Once I started doing that, my gains just started to shoot up. They shot up. I started putting on weight quickly. I got much stronger in the gym. And that's when I finally realized how important this stuff actually was for a natural lifter like myself. And maybe like yourself too. But yeah, that's number 3. So I think we're done. I think that's all I wanted to go over. Let's wrap it up. Basically, you're not small because of your genetics. You're small because a lack of progressive overload, like I mentioned earlier. It's three things. It's a lack of progressive overload. It's not giving your body the right fuel and recovery that it needs. And it's also stopping your limiting beliefs, which is basically telling yourself, which is basically telling yourself that it's your genes' fault. It's the fault of your DNA, when it's really not. It's because you're not putting in enough work. But the truth is that you can overcome all of this. I built a complete A to Z solution that covers everything that I mentioned here. It's designed for skinny guys just like you, skinny guys who are natural, trying to do this naturally. Maybe you're young. You've been struggling to put on muscle for a couple years maybe, and you finally want to change that. You can hit me up. I've got a program designed specifically for you. I offer guides on nutrition, guides on sleep, guides on recovery, recovery methods. I got recovery protocols such as cold exposure, heat exposure, that kind of thing. I'll tell you what to do on your rest days. I teach how to do deload weeks. I even have complete modules on mindset and discipline because, believe it or not, like I just said, that stuff's super important too. This is all within my private access school community. Everyone's kind of like a brotherhood in there. A lot of the guys that you'll see in there are in the same boat as you. They're young, skinny, natural guys who are trying to put on muscle too, just like yourself. What's the value in this? The value is that this is all a complete done-for-you system. Like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, I had to learn to do all this myself, and it kind of sucks. I spent so much money, so much time over the years, and I really wished I did was I wish I found someone who's done it before, and I just had them teach me how to do it, because I could have learned everything in a day rather than 15 years of lifting and 10 years of research. So if you want to stop blaming your genetics, stop blaming your DNA for your lack of results, we'll put a link in the description below. Feel free to hit me up. We can schedule a one-on-one free strategy call session. We can talk about your goals, talk about what's working for you, talk about what's not working for you. We can discuss that a little bit. Maybe if there could be something I can be able to help you with. So feel free to do that. If you don't want to, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out. I will see you guys later.